The deadline had arrived. Marcus Sterling stood smugly at the door, brandishing eviction documents, while moving crews ascended the front steps. Rain coated the street in a slick sheen. Cell phones emerged from every direction, and Margaret pressed the brass key against her heart like a sacred talisman. Henry positioned his walking stick firmly, unwilling to yield even an inch. Then a car horn shattered the tension. A dark sedan screeched to a halt at the sidewalk. A woman in a navy business suit emerged, papers in hand. Following her, a military vehicle pulled up. A uniformed officer stepped out. Then a luxury SUV arrived with camera crews in tow. The crowd released a collective breath. Murmurs spread like wildfire. Who were these people? And why had Marcus Sterling's face suddenly drained of all color? The porch lamp blinked once as the children created a protective barrier around their parents. The events that followed would transform the entire neighborhood. Before we continue with this incredible tale, we'd appreciate if you'd click that subscribe button. Your encouragement helps us share more compelling narratives. Now, let's dive into the story. Vacate this property. Henry's chuckle emerged weak and weary, the sound of accumulated exhaustion. He stabilized the coffee cup, his hand betraying a slight shake, and placed it next to Margaret's medication organizer. She straightened her wool cardigan at the collar, blinked several times to clear the morning haze, and retrieved a weathered ribbon from her pocket. Attached to that ribbon was a brass house key, polished smooth from decades of handling. She held it against her hand like a sacred promise. The modest bungalow carried the scent of furniture polish and aged paper. Morning light streamed across family portraits on the mantelpiece, highlighting one particular image. 3 young children with crooked smiles positioned between a younger Henry and Margaret. The day they became a family. The memory still radiated warmth. Margaret released a measured breath. We created our life within these walls. Every room holds our history. An automobile crawled past the window, moving slowly enough to be intrusive. Marcus Sterling returned. He had developed a pattern of circling, typing observations into his device, pretending to inspect rain gutters or catalog pavement flaws. The neighbors feigned ignorance, though window coverings shifted. "He's returned," drifted a quiet observation from the walkway. "He's after that property." Another voice, more subdued. "The elderly couple won't survive through winter regardless." The statements lingered like frost. Henry settled onto the porch bench. The support chains groaned. He worked at a mark on his shoe. Couldn't remove it. Attempted once more. Minor defiance. Beyond the shrubbery, Marcus raised a camera to his eye. "Good morning," he called with excessive enthusiasm. "Rental agreements are explicit. Market conditions have shifted. Your entitlements have changed accordingly." He displayed a smile that didn't include his teeth. "Rights don't fluctuate with property values," Margaret responded. She rose, backbone straightening like a carefully drawn line, and secured the ribbon holding the key. Her tone remained soft, yet contained underlying steel. "You issued notice. We filed an objection. You're aware of this." Marcus's clipboard made a clicking sound. "Objections have expiration dates. Time limits elapse." He advanced, his expensive shoes locating the single damaged tile on the entrance. He grimaced as if the structure itself was an insult. "I'll return with relocation services shortly." Interest had a tendency to spread rapidly. By midday, the street buzzed with activity. Someone recorded deteriorating paint and labeled it a neighborhood blight. Another person referenced a property developer who preferred corner parcels. A youth on a bicycle made repeated passes, commenting, "This situation will spread online if it escalates." Inside, Margaret traced the photograph's surface with her finger. She recalled the children's first night in residence, how the house groaned and settled as though memorizing their identities. Henry bent to retrieve a dropped envelope, grimaced, controlled his breathing. "We're staying put," she stated quietly, "as long as I'm able to remain upright." Margaret agreed, attention on the brass key. The entrance light activated prematurely, illuminating airborne particles like miniature constellations. Outside, Marcus typed, looked up and captured one final image. He departed, whistling a melody that clashed with the neighborhood's character.
The house paid attention. The ribbon grew warm in Margaret's grasp, and somewhere distant from this peaceful street, 3 phones vibrated in 3 occupied lives that had originated on this exact porch. The initial rap arrived during a light rain that carried a metallic scent. Marcus didn't await a response. He pushed a bulky envelope through the mail opening and photographed it on the carpet. Margaret stooped to collect it, hesitated to regulate her breathing, then carefully opened the seal with her fingernail. Text arranged like an ultimatum. Final warning, 30-day period. Henry read it twice, mouth forming the words. He slipped the document beneath the recipe book as though paper might disappear among ingredients. Our objection remains active, he stated thinly. He grasped Margaret's hand, massaging the tender area between her thumb and wrist, a practice developed during medical vigils. The street had awareness. 30 days, someone murmured near the garden border. He'll renovate the property by June, another voice sharp with stimulants. Municipal authorities won't intervene, just observe. They attempted modest resistance. Henry secured the entrance lock. Margaret organized containers, not for relocation, but for evidence. Religious education projects, the legal adoption document, a celebration card bearing 3 uneven signatures and a cocoa fingerprint. The brass key remained on her ribbon, heated by her touch. She monitored it hourly, like vital signs. Marcus intensified his efforts. Registered mail, a builder measuring windows at midday, an announcement nailed to the oak tree, official seals soaking through in precipitation. He enjoyed the audience. He acknowledged the recording devices. Simply adhering to regulations, he announced, for pedestrian consumption. They're delinquent by months. Cameras focused on the roof line, not the payment records in Henry's file. 1 week afterward, the law enforcement postcard came. Possession date established. Margaret reviewed it in the entrance. Her voice snagged on the date, then stabilized. "We persist," she declared. She smoothed her cardigan, cleared her vision, and placed the card face down. Darkness stretched. Plumbing clicked. Emergency vehicles passed 2 blocks away. Henry remained conscious, monitoring Margaret's breathing, measuring the interval between each inhalation. He contemplated the initial nursery furniture he assembled in the front room, how the structure seemed to incline closer to detect infant noises. He silently recited their names into the darkness, a hushed attendance check. Dawn offered no compassion. A relocation vehicle stalked the intersection like a predator. The operator waited, drumming the steering wheel. Residents gathered in small groups, arms crossed, beverages cooling. "Are you documenting?" someone inquired. "Continuously," came the response. An adolescent murmured, "If they forcibly remove them, notify me." Marcus appeared with documentation and an expression that avoided his eyes. The law officer followed, features expressionless. Margaret positioned herself on the entrance with the brass key flattened against her lifeline. Henry adjusted his shirt collar, failed, attempted again. "Time's up," Marcus announced. He indicated the stairs. "Compliance makes this dignified." Henry anchored his support cane on the upper step. "This residence is current on payments. Your calculations are deceptive." He displayed a document, payment confirmations. He extended them. The officer looked, blinked deliberately, averted his gaze. Standard procedure was relentless. Marcus signaled. 2 relocation workers mounted the steps. Footwear impacted heavily. Recording devices elevated like a small grove. The atmosphere had a metallic flavor. Margaret revealed her palm. The key reflected light, then concealed as her fingers contracted. She inhaled once, then again. "We're not isolated," she stated softly, uncertain if she addressed one another or a greater presence. The workers arrived at the entrance. A vehicle horn resonated at the intersection, sustained and deliberate. Attention shifted. The transport operator straightened in position. A door closed somewhere close by, swift and certain, and the assembly moved toward the noise. The horn reverberated along the avenue, extended and intentional, slicing through the anxious murmur of onlookers. Cell phones rotated toward the intersection as a refined black sedan appeared, wheels hissing on damp concrete. Its headlamps swept the assembled faces before the vehicle settled directly before the residents. The rear door opened, and Rebecca emerged, tall, composed, her navy business attire still precise despite precipitation. She aligned her briefcase strap, blinked once in the moisture, and smoothed her jacket sleeve with experienced accuracy. The assembly inclined forward. Someone murmured, "That's legal representation." Another voice contributed, "She appears costly."
Rebecca didn't acknowledge them, her focus fixed on her parents positioned on the entrance. Margaret's digits wrapped firmly around the brass key. Henry's walking aid supported firmly on the upper step. She inhaled deeply, retained it momentarily, and crossed the yard with measured composure. The officer partially rotated, surprise evident in his expression. "Suspend the removal," Rebecca stated, voice sufficiently clear for the street to perceive. She extracted documents from her case, sheets protected in transparent covers, marked with prominent red official stamps. "Submitted this morning. You cannot advance. Not presently, not subsequently." She delivered the packet to the officer with a subtle smile that didn't completely reach her mouth. Marcus's confident expression wavered. "This constitutes harassment, delay strategies," he protested, though his voice fractured at the conclusion. He touched his brow with a folded cloth, eyes shifting toward the expanding audience. Before he could recover, another noise interrupted. Deep, mechanical, consistent. Attention shifted as a military transport entered the street, its wheels grinding through standing water. Residents instinctively retreated. From the operator's position emerged James, his stance rigid, shoulders aligned beneath his service uniform. The decorations attached to his chest reflected the subdued illumination, gleaming precisely. He halted, adjusted his belt, then proceeded forward, footwear clicking on the surface. His observation swept Marcus, then the workers, then the officer. He spoke softly, yet his voice projected. "Removing elderly residents through false pretenses constitutes elder exploitation. This extends beyond civil issues. It's criminal. Do you truly desire this documented?" The officer moved uncomfortably. The relocation workers placed their containers on the ground, evading visual contact. Speculation circulated. "That's their offspring, military officer. This situation just transformed." Marcus stuttered. You can't simply appear in uniform." His words terminated as a third transport arrived. This instance, a polished black utility vehicle that attracted focus like magnetism. Its darkened windows reflected the assembly until the door opened and Thomas emerged, cellular device already at his ear. He displayed no uniform, no formal attire, merely fitted denim, a custom coat, and assurance that commanded attention. Behind him, two individuals with recording equipment followed, their apparatus unmistakable, media. Someone whispered, pulling a companion's garment, "He brought journalists." Thomas concluded his conversation, smiled slightly, and indicated the cameras. Curious aspect about market dynamics. Property investors appreciate coverage until it resembles harassment of seniors. Care to guess what current trending topics is? He extracted a folded paper from his coat, fresh and pristine. Additionally, to clarify, Marcus, I acquired the mortgage on this estate yesterday. Ownership transferred to me, which technically means, he angled his head, eyebrow elevated, "You are intruding." Exclamations erupted through the assembly. Devices angled higher, documenting every reaction, every nervous movement. Marcus's cloth dropped to the pavement. He bent to retrieve it, fumbled, swore quietly. On the entrance, Margaret released a noise between crying and laughter.
She flattened the brass key to her chest, the ribbon quivering. Henry blinked forcefully, cleaned his eyes with the hand's reverse surface, and leaned more heavily on his support. The avenue had transformed. What commenced as removal now vibrated with drama. Residents murmured, "Are you witnessing this?" Someone commented, "They fostered those children, correct?" The youth on his bicycle whispered into his device, "This is achieving viral status genuinely." Marcus attempted to speak, but no sound emerged. The offspring stood adjacent now. Attorney, military officer, business owner, creating a barrier before their parents. Cameras focused. The brass key in Margaret's hand reflected like a beacon. The tempest had assembled, and Marcus, for the initial instance, appeared diminished against it. The avenue had fallen silent, except for the whisper of moisture on concrete. Every device remained elevated, every breath held as Marcus attempted to regain his balance. He pulled at his neckwear, straightened his tie, and produced a smile that shook at the boundaries. "You think some dramatic displays modify the rules?" His voice tensed higher than typical. He struck the removal folder on his hand, the noise acute and empty. "They're overdue. They're occupying illegally. This property belongs to me, and no magic shows will..." "Overdue?"
Rebecca's statement sliced through him like crystal. She advanced, footwear clicking on the damp timber of the entrance. She revealed a folder from her case with stable fingers and extracted a substantial collection of confirmations. Loan satisfied. Services paid. Levies submitted. She delivered the collection to the officer, her fingernails contacting once on the upper sheet for stress. "This isn't oversight, it's deception. His deception." The officer aligned his headwear, forehead creased. He examined the papers, mouth forming numbers, then looked at Marcus. His jaw contracted, but he remained silent. Marcus's complexion colored crimson. "They're aged. They won't resist. This is..." "Monitor your language." James's statement landed powerfully, nearly tangible. He advanced, footwear clicking in a minor pool. He aligned his belt, hand touching the emblem on his torso, and fixed his gaze on Marcus. "Senior coercion is an indictable violation. Your actions are not merely removal, it's felonious pressure. You may dispute with them." He gestured toward his parents, then returned. "But you'll respond to me." A wave passed through the assembly. Someone murmured, "That's service insignia. Authentic article." Another voice, "He's concluded." Marcus attempted speech again, but Thomas was already intervening, a slight smile forming at his mouth's edge. He presented a pristine white packet, borders fastened. "And if you overlook my sibling's argument, I'll simplify mine." He extracted the paper partially, the raised seal reflecting the recording illumination. "I possess this estate now. Loan, deed, obligation satisfied completely." He allowed the statements to settle, allowed them to absorb into the collecting stillness. "You're not a property owner here, Marcus. You're trespassing." Exclamations erupted across the avenue like a surge. A female covered her mouth with her palm. The youth on his cycle nearly lost his device. Someone chuckled, a brief, anxious sound. "Trespassing," they echoed, moving their head. Marcus retreated a pace, his documents escaping his hold. Sheets spread over the moist walkway, ink dispersing. He stooped to collect them, but his hand trembled. When he raised his view again, his smile had disappeared. Margaret advanced gradually, supported by Henry's arm. She elevated the brass key, the ribbon hanging, and presented it like a minor illuminated flame. Her speech, though soft, projected along the street. "This key has accessed that entrance for 40 years. Nobody, not intimidation, not wealth, not avarice, will remove it from us." The assembly burst. Applause, approval, whispers. Devices angled higher, documenting Margaret's shaking grasp, Henry's firm arm, and the three offspring positioned like a defense before them. The moisture sparkled beneath entrance lighting, descending gently but persistently. Marcus attempted speech again, but voice was raw. "This hasn't concluded." "It has." Rebecca's interruption was precise. She indicated the officer, who had closed the removal documentation with purposeful finality. "Immediately effective."
Marcus's jaw moved, but no statements emerged. The recording devices documented every movement, every flutter, every fracture in his facade. He rotated abruptly, nearly stumbling on the step, and rushed toward his vehicle. The assembly separated barely enough to allow passage, their murmurs trailing him like insects. As his rear lights vanished, Thomas returned his device to his pocket. James released air through his nose. Rebecca secured her case with a snap. They rotated together, not toward the assembly, not toward the officer, but toward Margaret and Henry. The entrance lighting wavered once, then stabilized. And in that radiance, the couple were no longer isolated. Their offspring had transformed a crisis into a judgment. The authority had transferred. The property owner was merely a shadow departing. The precipitation diminished to a fog, blurring the boundaries of the assembly. Devices remained elevated, documenting, but presently the atmosphere contained a distinct noise. Applause, cheers, even several voices announcing the couple's name. The removal that was intended to disgrace them had reversed into something different completely, a demonstration of devotion. Margaret placed the brass key in her hand and touched it gently with her lips shaking. She turned it in her grasp until the ribbon touched her face. Henry stabilized her with one palm on her spine, blinking firmly behind heavy lenses. The bench on the entrance groaned slightly in the breeze, the exact same bench where they had previously held infants who grew into the exact same individuals, now protecting them. Rebecca aligned her jacket, moist on the shoulders. She offered her mother a partial smile, something small and personal, then raised her chin at the recording devices. Deception revealed, matter resolved, removal prevented. Her speech projected with serene command, but her hand extended backward, pressing Margaret's digits for comfort.
James released the upper fastener of his service coat and released air, finally allowing his stance to relax. He looked at his father, offered a single acknowledgement. "He won't return," he stated, "not with accusations waiting." His manner was factual, but there existed a controlled anger beneath it, the type that emerged from witnessing his parents trapped. Thomas, in the interim, extracted the ownership document from his pocket and positioned it in Henry's grasp. "It belongs to you," he stated gently, though the recording devices attempted to capture each word. "No loan, no technicalities. Nobody approaches it again." Henry's digits shook over the paper, following the raised stamp. "You acquired this for us?" His speech fractured, rough from incredulity. Thomas shrugged, though his eyes reflected. "For kinship. You provided us shelter when nobody else would. We're simply reciprocating the gesture." The assembly moved, residents, previously doubtful, now agreeing, murmuring statements like, "Fostered them properly," and "Lineage doesn't count. Observe that allegiance." A youth on a cycle spoke into his device. "Entire avenue just observed history." The officer adjusted his headwear, expression arranged in a combination of regret and comfort, then rotated away, abandoning Marcus's discarded documents, dissolving pigment into the moist surface. Margaret forced the key into Henry's grasp, enclosing his digits around it. "We began with this key," she murmured, "and it concludes with us retaining it." Her eyes shimmered, her chest elevating in brief, sharp respirations. The offspring gathered nearer, creating a compact circle at the entrance space. Residents observed as the family positioned together, side by side, as though fused by something more profound than genetics. The entrance illumination radiated consistently now, coloring their features golden against the shadowed avenue. Somewhere, someone murmured, "That will appear on broadcasts tonight." Another speech responded, "Should appear. Citizens need to see this." Margaret rested against Henry's shoulder, her cardigan moist, her ribbon wet, but intact. "We're protected," she stated. The brass key reflected one final sparkle of illumination,
radiating not merely as a security instrument, but as an emblem of residence, of recollection, of an affection that had fostered offspring powerful enough to defend them. And with that, the assembly started to disperse, murmurs flowing along the street. The family remained motionless together, as though allowing the instant to absorb into the actual structure of the residence. For the first instance in months, they respired freely. The property owner wanted them eliminated. Rather, the narrative had been documented, carved into the community, the recording devices, and the souls of all observing. The residence was theirs. The conflict had concluded, and inheritance, finally, was protected. If this narrative captured you, consider how many additional unreported conflicts like this are occurring currently. Don't allow narratives of allegiance, fairness, and surprising strength to remain unobserved. Press subscribe, select the alert bell, and distribute this recording so additional individuals can see how circumstances reverse when kinship and honesty intervene.